My guest today is Nick Thomas-Symonds, the UK's Minister for European Union Relations. We speak just ahead of the 10th anniversary of the Brexit referendum and as the UK and EU prepare for a July summit where they're expected to close a series of deals on agri-food exports, electricity and a youth experience scheme. We discuss the geopolitical and economic consequences of Brexit and about the challenges facing the Prime Minister Keir Starmer as his government looks like it's on increasingly fragile ground. Minister Nick Thomas-Symonds, thank you so much for speaking to Euronews. It's been 10 years since the UK voted to leave the European Union, and as we speak, Brexit is back at the heart of UK politics. I'd like to ask you first, do you think that your government is making Brexit work for the UK?
Well, first of all, it's great to join you. And yes, we are making it work. And that's been my job as the UK's lead negotiator with the EU over these past 2 years, but also the work I did before that when we were in opposition. We delivered last year the Common Understanding in May, the very important security and defence partnership, complementing that foundation stone of our security and defence policy, NATO. But also, I was particularly delighted to have signed the re-accession to Erasmus Plus just before Christmas. But also, we have the package that we want to agree at this year's UK-EU summit.
But on the economic relationship, do you think you've been moving quick enough on this? Because there are recent studies that show that perhaps Brexit has taken a hit of up to 6 to 8% on GDP per head, for example. Have you moved quick enough to restore those economic trade ties?
We are certainly moving very quickly. And I would also say that I inherited a status quo that wasn't working. There's no doubt about the damage that the previous government's handling of Brexit did. And that's exactly been my role, looking at changing that trading relationship, building a closer UK-EU relationship. And let me just say why that is so important, because we do live now in a very changed world to the one of 10 years ago. We live in a world of trading blocs. And it is so important that whilst respecting the result of the 2016 referendum and acting on the mandate we have from the 2024 general election, but not going back to freedom of movement, the customs union or the single market, of course we respect those. We are delivering on our mandate from 2024. But that closer UK-EU partnership in this world of trading blocs is a fundamental part of our foreign policy as well.
I must ask you, Minister, because your government is on fragile ground. There is an imminent leadership contest, some would say. And one of the challenges of former Health Secretary Wes Streeting has described Brexit as a catastrophic mistake, saying that the future of Britain is in the European Union. Do you, to an extent, agree with him?
I don't think this is the moment to rerun the arguments of 2016. I think this is a point to look forward, not back. And I think in looking forward, what we are doing is building, and I am building week by week, that closer UK-EU relationship, and doing so in the international context that we find ourselves in. So it has a number of dimensions. Working more closely on security and defence, absolutely fundamental with our European partners. Working on energy security, and that's why I've been, in recent weeks, I've formally, together with Maroš Šefčovič, open negotiations on UK participation in the internal electricity market. And I'm doing that so that we are able to deliver that energy security going forward, but also to try to bear down on bills as well, but also on trade and food security. These are fundamentals of our policy going forward, delivering for people in the UK, but also it's in the EU's interest as well.
There is polling, Minister, that suggests that the public perception, opinion on Brexit has shifted, that a majority of people now would support rejoining the EU, and this is coming up in the public debate. Do you think there is a case to be made for that, especially given the situation you've just described of trading blocs, of geopolitical friction and so on?
Well, I think that public opinion is not far from where the government is, actually. I think the government's position is broadly supported by public opinion. I don't detect, and I've been up and down the country campaigning over many years, a desire to rerun arguments that took place between 2016 and 2019-20 in the UK.
I want to ask you about your talks with Maroš Šefčovič, the EU's trade chief. I know you've been in very close touch with him over the past years. You are seeking closer alignment with the single market, but you're keeping those red lines, no entry into the single market or the customs union or freedom of movement. How faithful are you this approach will work?
Well, it has been working. It delivered the common understanding last year. It's already delivering benefits, and I'm very confident it will continue to deliver benefits for the British people across this Parliament. And let me just give some specific examples, because let's talk about the food and drink agreement. Now, those who oppose the work I am doing are saying to businesses in the agricultural and agri-food sectors that the situation we have at the moment, where we've had to have over 1 million export health certificates, up to £200 a time, issued to UK businesses, UK exporters since 2023. I've held one of these. I've been presented with one of these by a business. Pages and pages, dozens of wet stamps all over it. I want to take away that red tape. I want to take away that cost from businesses. Those who oppose what I'm doing will have to explain to those businesses why they want to reimpose them.
You mentioned you're negotiating a series of new deals. You sound very positive on the SPS, on the agri-food exports, as well as the carbon emissions trading system. I want to ask you about the third aspect of this, which is youth experience or youth mobility. How is this going? Because you officials have been telling me that it is tough to close this deal by the summer. What are the bones of contention here?
I think with the youth experience scheme, it's very important that we do have both the limit, the cap, but also particular time limits as well. And I've always seen the youth experience scheme in the context of the UK's 13 existing youth mobility schemes. But listen, of course we will have, over the period left before we have this annual summit, we are going to have, of course, pressures to close final bits of the negotiation. I'm very, very used to that. But we shouldn't lose sight of the bigger picture here, because the youth experience scheme will have real opportunities in it, of course, for young Europeans, but for young Brits as well, who are going to be able, as we've always seen it, to have a very broad scheme around study, around work, and around travel. But when I reflect on the last 10 years, and post-Brexit, consequences of what the previous Conservative governments did, it was opportunities for young people that was one of the things that really bothered me, that opportunities that previously existed no longer did. And I am very proud of what we are now going to be put forward to young people, and I think the youth experience scheme is going to be a really positive part of that.
Can I ask you, what type of caps are you looking at? What type of limits for young EU citizens coming to stay, work in the UK? What are the numbers?
Well, listen, I have to give you the government minister answer here, which is, of course, that these are ongoing negotiations at the moment. But in terms of the parameters of the youth experience scheme, they're written down in the common understanding we signed last year.
And are you confident that Brussels attaches as much importance to this as you do as a government? Because some would say the time is on their side, they're not in a rush.
I really do, and I say that because, not just because of my relationship with Maroš Šefčovič, but as you can imagine, I've got to know the lead officials in the Commission very, very well over the past 2 years or more. And I could never fault the amount of time and urgency that they have given to this, and certainly to me over the past couple of years. That's never been an issue.
And Minister, how confident are you that this will be wrapped up?
I am very confident of closing this deal. Of course we will get moments, as you always do, moments of difficulty in the final parts of the negotiation, but I'm very confident of closing this deal and delivering a very successful 2026 summit.
We know that Reform UK, the party of Nigel Farage, is topping the polls. That is the reality. Does that mean that you're looking to Farage-proof, let's say, these deals, to make sure that a prospective future anti-European government here in London does not undo the important work, as you say, that you've been doing?
Well, first of all, if a party at the next general election wants to put the costs back on businesses that I propose take off, or take away the opportunities to young people that this government has delivered, I would relish that debate. But the point is this: when you talk about durability of arrangements, in any international context, durable arrangements that last for many years are because they deliver for both sides. And the best thing to make any deal durable is to ensure that it's delivering for young people, it's delivering for businesses, it's delivering for, in this case, obviously the British public, but also Europeans as well. I am very confident that we are going to do that.
Finally, Minister, final question. I want to come back to the situation of the Prime Minister, Keir Starmer. Brexit has emerged as one of the issues that could define a potential leadership contest. I know that you work very closely with him in your role in restoring EU ties. Do you think at this point there should be a slight shift in his strategy? Does he need to be a little bit more ambitious, more bold in calling for even more collaboration with the European Union? Is that the way to go? Has he been too hesitant, too careful not to alienate those red wall traditional Labour voters that support Brexit?
No, he has been ambitious, and indeed throughout this calendar year we've been talking not just about delivering the summit, but how we want to deliver beyond the summit as well. And I think the Prime Minister has been both ambitious on UK-EU, and just look, you're interviewing me here as we speak in the Cabinet Office. I'm right next door to the Prime Minister. This agenda is so important to this Prime Minister. I've always had his personal authority to do this job right at the centre of the government, and that's been the case since July 2024. So this has always been a top priority for the Prime Minister. Second, he's always shown not just ambition, but also shown that he and this government can deliver. And it's that delivery that's the most important thing.
OK, Minister Nick Thomas-Symmonds, thank you for speaking to us.
Thank you.